to the Anti-Desk Stretch Club. So today we're going to be looking at movements for the whole body, different joint rotations, muscle activation, dynamic movements as well, just to get everything nice and loose if you've been working at a desk or sitting down for a long period of time. So all you're going to need is your yoga mat or a carpet or whatever it is, and the other piece of equipment is like a strap. So this is a yoga strap, but if you don't have one, don't worry, you can use a scarf or you can use a tie, basically something that we can just do some flossing movements with. So yeah, I will see you on the mat. Let's just start by shaking out some nervous energy and some tension that were built up in the body. So you can literally just start shaking from anywhere. I'm going to start down on my legs, shaking them backwards and forwards, bring it up to my hips, my butt, my shoulders, my arms. You can shake down, you can shake up, you can shake out to the side, go as crazy as you want. Spend another 15 seconds or so, maybe reach the arms up, have a bounce, have a jiggle. And then slow it right down, come back to some stillness. Cool, so I'm going to start off in a ragdoll position. I'm going to take the feet as wide as the hips, nice soft bent legs, and just encourage yourself to round and fold forwards. So you can do this with bent legs or straight legs, totally up to you. But see if you can try and encourage a chin to the chest, look behind you. Hands can be on the ground if you want a little bit more support, or you can cradle the elbows. But the idea is that we're just nice and soft through the posterior chain of the legs. And we're encouraging a little bit more length to our spinal extensors, chin is relaxed, and maybe we sway. Keeping the breathing soft, keeping it regulated. And maybe play around as well if you would like to bend the legs more or straighten them up. We're going to be here for maybe 2 more breaths. And then release those hands down to the ground, sort of just in front of the feet, and you're going to come all the way down into a squat position. So, you're going to heel toe the feet a little bit wider than hip distance, and maybe have the feet turned out. I'm going to bring a bit of movement into the hips, first of all. So hands down, and all you're going to do is rock side to side. So sort of alternating between the heel and the toes. Just bringing in some movement to the ankles, into the knees and into the hips. So internal, external rotation. I'm going to start to mix in a couple of different things, adding in some nice side stretches as well. Maybe a little bit of a bounce for some glute activation. So find some stillness. From here, you're going to take the left hand down to the ground and extend and open up through the right hand. It doesn't matter if your heels are flat or not, but we're creating this lovely opening, lovely rotation. If you want to change it up a little bit more, you can start to straighten up that right leg ever so slightly and lean more towards the left-hand side. You can play around with peeling the knee away, lifting the foot. Then coming back down, swap sides, so right hand down, left hand lifts and extends. Try to almost create a bit of resistance between your right knee and your right elbow. Then again, maybe I start to lift up and straighten up that leg a little bit. And then release. And you can start to play around with sort of twisting and opening. You can create more of a rotation into the leg, the opposite side to which you lean away. Whatever feels good. It's a little bit of time to experiment, see how the joints are feeling, see how the muscles are feeling. Cool. So maybe just go one more time each side, wherever you are. And then come all the way back to a little bit of stillness in your squat. Now this one's going to be a bit of a killer for the glutes and the quads. You're going to come up just a little bit more from your depth. So rather than being down here, maybe lift up about, a couple of inches or so. You're going to take your hands resting, elbows on the knees, and just start to bounce. So we're going sort of out of our depth, a little bit higher, making sure those glutes are on, pulsing and bouncing. Because if we've been sat down all day, likelihood glutes are switched off and they're weakened. Let's go 5 more seconds here because it is taxing. Cool, 1 more breath. And then push all the way up to standing. Give those legs a little bit of a shake out. Nice. So again, we're going to work a little bit more onto our glutes, having a look at some hip abduction. So taking a standing position, feet about hip distance apart, try to spread the toes nice and wide and grip down into them. So this challenges our balance as well. Have your hands to the hips or maybe place them on a wall. And all we're going to do is shift the weight onto the left foot, lift up the right leg a little bit. All we're going to do is some leg abductions. So slowly lift the right leg out towards the right side, as high as you can go without tilting too much to the left, and bring it back down. So all we're going to do, pulse out, slowly down. So we're going to do 6 of these in total, nice and slow on the way up, and just as slow on the way down. Good, 2 more. Last one. Good, and slowly down, shift to the right leg, spread the toes, lift the left foot. Again, take it out to the side, slowly coming down. So again, we're going to do 6 of these in total. Feel free to use your hands elsewhere for balance. But we're working on our adductor and abductor strength, as well as switching on those glutes a little bit more in different ranges than just sort of a seated position. Cool, last one. And gently release. Give those legs a little bit of a shake. Lovely. So we're going to come back down onto the floor, and we are going to take a seated position with the feet straight out in front of us, just as wide as about our mat. Hands are going to go behind, and we're going to do some seated windscreen wipers. Hands are behind for a bit of support. You're just going to let the knees go down towards the right, back through center, and then down to the left. Just going to continue like this, and we're going to slowly progress through more ranges. So one more time each way. Again, internal, external rotation for the hips. Cool. Now this time when we come back through center, we drop the knees to the right, you're going to rotate with your chest to the right hand side, plant those hands, and then bend and fold. Push back up, rotate to the left, same thing. Hands switch over, we bend and we come down. We're going to do that again 6 times in total, so 3 times either side. So it's actually quite nice for the rotation into the thoracic spine, just freeing up some joint space there. So last one. Cool, and then coming all the way back up through to center. So last time we're doing this, we're going to involve a little bit of a hip hinge. Now it is tricky, so we'll see how we progress through it. This time when you drop the feet down to the right, you're going to bring your body weight forward, so shoulders come over the hips, hands come down to the floor in front of you first. Now lift up, squeeze the glutes, come to a hip hinge. Now slowly down, use your hands if you need, and then transfer to the other side. Again, weight down, hands in front, squeeze, lift, and then slowly come back down, transfer to the middle. Again, as we come down to the right, if you would like, maybe you take the hands out in front, brace, lift and squeeze, or use them down to the floor. But again, you guessed it, we're going to do 6 of these in total. So we've got 2 more. Do whatever variation feels better for you, but the hip hinge is such an important mechanism to have in the body. And slowly coming all the way back down to center. Cool. So releasing the legs, giving them a little bit of a shake out. Going to bring ourselves forwards into a tabletop position. And before we move into any movement for the shoulder, let's just have a little bit of movement for the spine in some spinal waves. So starting in a really flexed position. So push through the hands, belly drawing in, chin to the chest. See if you can move from your coccyx, your sacrum, lumbar, thoracic, then cervical spine. So waving up the body as we come more into extension. So start to slowly drop the hips, drop the belly, drop the chest, then slowly lift the head. Reverse, curl in through the lower, mid and upper. And just slowly waving in and out of flexion and extension for the spine. Only going as deep as you would like to in each of the poses. Remembering that breath as we do so. So again, obviously breathing out of the mouth every now and then if you really need. Remember to push through the hands, squeezing and bracing through the core. Let's just go for one more round because it feels so good. And and then find yourself in a neutral position. Cool, so we're going to come into some shoulder joint work. Push through the left hand, and you're going to take that right hand straight out in front of you. Thumb is facing up, palm is facing the inside. From here, you slowly lift the hand up, start to rotate it out to the side, and then land it down by your hips with your palm now facing the outside. And then you slowly swim it forwards, rotate the palm back to its starting position. I'm going to do this, let's go for 4 times on each side. Slowly forwards. As you do this, you're also teaching yourself core control, pelvic and shoulder stability as well. Try to use the muscles that surround the shoulder for more support. So last time. And then release, bring the right hand down. Onto the left side, palm faces the inside first of all. Keep pressing through the right hand, lift up, rotate around, land it down by your side. And again, lift, rotate, calming forwards. Again, we'll do 4 of these in total. It's important to remember as you do this as well, we're not trying to get super big circles. If it means starting out small, then progressively getting bigger, go for it. Last one. And then slowly, slowly forwards. Cool. And then release down into a kneeling position. Have your strap or your scarf or whatever it is to hand and open it out so it's nice and long. You can do this seated, you can do this standing, whatever feels good. You're going to start by taking a strap and holding it with both hands wider than shoulder distance. This is some shoulder flossing, and you're going to make your strap super tight, so no slack in it. If there's slack, then you sort of lose like the feelings that we want to have in this movement. So nice and tight, start it down onto your thighs, or if you're standing, again down by your thighs. And all you're going to do is start to lift up over your head, allow the shoulders to move up with you, and then see how far behind you can start to bring it. If it's feeling too tight like it is for me now, take the hands a little bit wider, keep the slack, and then see if you can slowly, slowly allow the strap to come down by your butt. Again, slowly bring it up and over. So this is called shoulder flossing. It's just quite a nice movement to do, to feel control into the muscles in the front of your chest, so your pecs, as well as the muscles in the upper back. And you're controlling your joint rotation from internal to external rotation, as well as elevation and depression to the scapula. Also, be super mindful as well that when you do this, you're not compensating into your spine, so you're not sticking your chest out super far as you bring the strap behind. And in the other way, you're not rounding so much when you bring the strap forwards. So core control and awareness is paramount. Let's just go one more time because it feels so good. And then release and relax, maybe just swim the shoulders back and forwards a couple of times. Cool. So you can pop your strap off to the side because we won't use it again. Now I'm going to come into some bird dogs. Bird dogs are great to teach you about contralateral movement, so opposite hand, opposite leg, also like certain like muscular connections for the brain, but they're also really good to also teach you more about core awareness, pelvic stability and shoulder stability. So back to your tabletop position, pushing through those hands so the shoulders are nice and supported, drawing in, bracing through the core. We're going to start by slowly extending the right hand straight away from us, keeping stability into the left hand. I find it's easier with the toes tucked, but when you're ready, you're going to slowly float the left leg straight behind you. Have the ankle in line with the glutes, not too high up and also not too low down where we're not using the core and the glutes. And pushing through and holding here. We're going to hover and breathe. So we've got to learn to distribute the weight between the left hand and between the right leg, as well as keeping everything in line. One more breath here. Slowly draw everything back down. Then we move to the other side. So left hand extends in front. When you're ready, kick the right leg behind. And again, pushing through, keeping the elevation, keeping the breath controlled, figuring out where we feel unstable and maybe trying to correct it. One more breath here. and then slowly, slowly come back down. Gonna do it one more time. The more we practice, the more blueprints and pathways we connect or create from brain to body. So let's see if we can do both hand and leg at the same time. Lift right hand, lift left leg, extend. Elevate, breathe, feel the awareness, keep the breath light, and almost as if you're trying to make yourself longer out of the foot and the hand. One more breath. Slowly land. Let's see if we can connect straight to the other side. Lift and extend. Breathing. Finding the control. Use the fingers, the knuckles, the heel of the hand. One more breath. And then slowly, slowly release it all down to the floor. Come up nice and high in a kneeling position. Shake out the wrists for a second. Maybe rotate through them. Cool. Now I'm going to come into another hip hinge movement with another juicy thoracic rotation. So for this, I would say have those toes tucked. And what we're going to just practice first of all is dropping the hips back towards the heels and then squeezing and lifting the glutes as we bring the hips over the knees. So again, coming down, squeezing and lifting up. Just practicing this a couple times. Feeling the core again switch on as you hinge back and coming up. Only go as low as you're comfortable into the heels. Let's go 2 more times. Last one. Cool. Now this time what we're going to do, we're going to again involve the hip hinge, but then as we come forward, right hand will go to right leg, left hand extends up, and we rotate and twist to the right. Then we drop the hips again, lift up, rotate to the left hand side. So when you're ready, drop down. Lift and squeeze, right hand, right leg, left hand extends as we rotate. Drop the hips, left hand down, right hand up. Hips down, twist, rotate to the right, drop down, twist and rotate to the left. 2 more times. Engage the glutes. Last time. Good. And then coming all the way back to a kneeling position. Revisit that tabletop and maybe give those legs a little bit of a shake out. Cool. Gonna finish up with some supine positions. So, or lying on our belly. So come down. I should have said prone positions. Anyway, we're gonna make a pillow with our hands. You can either take your chin onto the hands or your forehead, whatever feels more comfortable. But give the hips a little rock side to side, a little bit of a shake, a little bit of a loosen up. We're going to come into some movements for the hip in terms of extension, as well as firing up the glutes and the hamstrings. So, with the head in whatever position you fancy, you're going to start to lift your right heel off the ground and bring the ankle on top of that knee. Now squeeze your glutes, keep pressing the hips to the floor and then not to lose contact with the ground. We're going to keep engagement here. All we're going to do nice and slow is lift the right knee off the floor just a little bit, a couple of inches, and slowly drop it back down. Maybe use an inhale to lift, exhale coming down. I'm going to do it 4 more times, so 6 times in total. You shouldn't be feeling any low back pain. If you are, you need to lift lower or you need to keep more engagement into the hips. So last time, squeeze and lift. Slowly down, release that leg. We'll swap to the left. So bend the knee, ankle above the knee. When you're ready, squeeze and lift for 1. Follow the breath as you lift for 2. Remember, still engaging with the hips, and press the opposite leg down into the floor as well. 2 more times. Last one. And then release. Give it a little bit of a shake up. So hopefully the glutes are firing up quite nicely. We're going to do it one more time, but change the angle of the legs and the hips. So bend the leg again, but this time walk the knee out at a slight angle. So the knee is more sort of to the edge of your mat, but your hips are still pressing down fairly evenly. Exact same thing. When you're ready, squeeze and lift for 1. For 2. Keep going until you've done 6. So this slight angle change means that a different area of the glutes and different glutes in general are being more activated. Last time. And then release that leg, bring it back underneath that hip. Bend the left leg, knee moves out to the side ever so slightly. Same thing, squeeze and lift for 1, 6 times in total. So this movement or the muscular activation here and joint sort of control is very similar to our standing leg abductions. Good, one more time. And then release that leg, give those hips a little shake, side to side. Now I'm going to come into some general mobility for our shoulders. They're called I's, Y's and T's. So it's again developing scapular awareness and muscular stability around the shoulders. So we start with our forehead on the ground. Again, we're keeping the same engagement in the body, pressing the hips to the floor. We start with the hands directly above our head, palms facing the ground. All we're going to do is lift both hands simultaneously up and down to create our I shape. So press the forehead into the mat. Inhale to lift the hands at the same time. Exhale slowly down. 6 times in total. Slowly down. Keep the shoulders up to the ears. Keep squeezing the glutes. Try to find the support in the shoulders. Last 2. Last 1. And release. Maybe take your hands by your side as you rock side to side. So that was our I position. If you're feeling quite a lot of build-up of tension into your traps, that's sort of indicating that that muscle is more dominant. So you need to do other work to the other muscles around the shoulder. So the Y shape, you take the hands out to create a Y, a little bit wider than your mat, and you're creating internal rotation. So the palms are facing one another. Forehead is going to come down, 6 lifts. So inhale, lifting. Exhale down. 6 times in total. Try not to cheat and rush through it. Try to be nice and slow on the lift and on the descent. One more time. And then release, relax, take your hands wherever. Last one we're going to do is a T. And again, you take the hands out towards the side. This one, you've got to be mindful of not just lifting up from the wrist and the elbow. You kind of want to lift everything from the shoulder evenly. So taking the hands out to the side, I'm going to move myself down a bit. What you want to do first of all is roll your shoulders back so they're less internal. You want to roll them so they're more neutral. Forehead down, inhale to lift for 1, exhale down. For 2, slowly down. Again, keep this going 6 times in total. Keep pushing the hips to the floor and breathing. 2 more times. Last one. And release. Come back onto the hands. Let your hips rock side to side. Beautiful. And then bring yourself back up to tabletop. Maybe sit on your ankles for a second and just have a little bit of a shake, a little bit of a rotate. So the reason why that movement, whilst it can be a little bit boring, is so important is because if we've sat at a desk like this all day, all the muscles back here have weakened and sort of like gotten this unwanted length. So we need to bring the awareness back to strengthen them so that everything up here sort of loosens a little bit more, feels less tight, feels less restricted. Cool. So just to finish up, we're going to come through a nice sort of like more dynamic movement of child's pose through tabletop to an extension pose for the spine, whether it's cobra or low cobra or up dog. Move through that a couple times because it's nice for the spine, and then finish off with a little bit of core work. So I'm going to start in child's pose. Sink down, hands release out in front, chin to the chest. Take an inhale, roll forwards into tabletop, squeeze the glutes, let the hips lower down to the ground, squeeze and lift the chest. Modify this upward position as much as you like. And then chin in, push back through tabletop, all the way to child's pose. So inhale, roll forwards. You can come all the way down and lift. And then take your time, push back and reverse. So just going through this a couple of times, find your own pace and momentum. If you want to just hold in a certain position as well, go for it. Maybe thighs off the ground. Just so the whole body is involved with the breath. Through some dynamic movement. I'm going to go for this 2 more times, but you do as many as you like. Cool. So finishing up with your last one, take your time to reverse back to child's pose. And then for our last move, we're going to lift up into a plank position. Make sure the shoulders are over those wrists and have your feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. We're going to do some shoulder taps. If this is too much to be on your toes, just let the knees come down to the ground. All we're going to do is tap opposite hand to opposite shoulder and try not to twist through the pelvis too much. We're going to do 10 of these in total. So whenever you're ready, tap for 1. 2, go nice and slow. Take your time with this. Again, try not to rush. The slower it is, the harder it is. Feel free to drop down to the knees. And once you've done 10, rest down on the legs. Shake out through those wrists. Roll through them, whatever you need. Beautiful. Then let's bring ourselves back up to a standing position. Shake it all out. Take some nice long breaths. And then we'll finish. So, back up to standing. Shake out through the legs. Shoulders. Go down, go up. Balance on the leg. Balance on the toes, have a bounce. And find some stillness again. Hands by your side. You can close your eyes if you want, but inhale. Exhale nice and long out of the mouth. Just 2 more times like this. Last one. And there we have it. So I hope you enjoyed and you feel a little bit looser and ready for the rest of your day or whatever you're doing. So if you had any comments, questions, suggestions for future videos, let me know in the comments and I will see you next time.